The cause of Nneka's beauty. Once upon a time in the land of Abo, deep in the heart of Igbo land, there was a girl named Nneka. Her beauty was unmatched. Her skin glistened like the morning sun on a dewy leaf, and her eyes were like two bright stars. Many said she was not just a girl but a goddess sent by Allah, the earth goddess, to remind the world of beauty. However, beneath her outward charm, Nneka carried a deep sorrow, for her beauty was both her blessing and her curse. The village elders had long told the story of how, when Nneka was born, a strange wind had blown through the village, knocking over trees and sending the river into a frenzy. The Dibia, the village healer, had warned Nneka's mother, Ogona, that her daughter would grow up to bring both great love and great misfortune. Ogona had brushed off the warning, refusing to believe her precious daughter could bring anything but joy. As Nneka grew, suitors from every corner of Igbo land came to win her hand. She was as humble as she was beautiful, but the men who sought her had their hearts clouded by jealousy and greed. They didn't see Nneka for her kindness, but for the status they believed her beauty could bring. Her father, Chief Ojukwu, became proud and boastful, accepting only the wealthiest of gifts from potential suitors. His greed knew no bounds, and his demands became increasingly outrageous. One such suitor was Obina, a young and handsome farmer from the nearby village of Umunze. Unlike the others, he had nothing to offer but his heart. He had watched Nneka from afar for years, secretly in love with her. Every market day, he would bring her the best of his harvest, fresh yams, ripe palm fruits, and sweet oranges. Though his offerings were humble, they came with sincerity. Nneka began to notice him, but she was torn. She knew her father would never allow her to marry a poor farmer. She was expected to marry a wealthy chief or warrior, someone who could bring power to her family. One day, during the Akwamozu festival, when the whole village gathered to celebrate the coming of age of the young man, Obina found the courage to speak to Nneka. Nneka, he whispered, standing by the river where she had gone to fetch water, I know I am not like the others. I have no riches to give your father, but my love for you is pure. Will you run away with me? We can live a simple life, away from the greed and jealousy of this village. Nneka's heart fluttered. She had grown weary of the endless suitors and her father's overbearing pride. She had seen the truth in Obina's eyes, but fear gnawed at her soul. If she disobeyed her father, she knew he would curse her. In Igbo land, a father's curse was not something to be taken lightly. It could destroy a person's destiny. I can't, Obina, she replied softly, tears welling up in her eyes. My father would never allow it. And if he curses me, my life would be doomed. Obina grabbed her hand and, for a moment, they stood in silence. The only sound was the gentle rush of the river. I would rather live a cursed life with you than a loveless one in riches, he said finally. Nneka's resolve began to crumble. She longed for the freedom Obina promised, but the weight of her family's expectations kept her chained. As fate would have it, that same night, another suitor arrived. It was Chief Ezeudu, the wealthiest man in the entire region. He was old enough to be Nneka's grandfather, but he had power beyond imagination. He brought with him 10 cows, 20 bags of yam, and enough jewelry to drape the entire village in gold. He demanded Nneka's hand in marriage, offering Chief Ojukwu lands and wealth in exchange. Chief Ojukwu was overjoyed. He had long dreamed of such a match for his daughter, and without consulting Nneka, he agreed to the marriage. The announcement was made the next morning, and the entire village celebrated, but Nneka's heart was heavy. That night, she went to her mother, Ogona, seeking advice. "Mother, what should I do?" Nneka asked, her voice trembling. "I love Obinna, but father has promised me to Chief Ezeudo." Ogona looked at her daughter with sad eyes. She had long warned her husband of the dangers of greed, but he had never listened. Now, it was their daughter who would pay the price. "My daughter," she said, "you must follow your heart. But beware, the gods do not look kindly upon those who break the traditions. If you run away, you may bring shame upon this family. But if you stay, you may lose yourself." Torn between duty and love, Nneka made a decision. That very night, under the cover of darkness, she and Obinna fled the village. They ran deep into the forest, far beyond the reach of Chief Ezeudo or her father's anger. When Chief Ojukwu awoke the next morning and discovered his daughter was gone, he was furious. He called upon the Dibia to curse her, to ensure that wherever she went, misfortune would follow. The Dibia, seeing Ojukwu's anger, reluctantly complied, calling upon the spirits to cast a dark cloud over Nneka's life. For a time, Nneka and Obinna were happy in their secluded home. They lived off the land, and their love grew stronger each day. But the curse soon began to take its toll. Their crops withered, their animals died, and Nneka became gravely ill. Obinna, heartbroken, tried everything to save her, but it was no use. The curse was too powerful. As Nneka lay on her deathbed, she looked at Obinna with tears in her eyes. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I should have listened to the gods. Our love was strong, but it could not break the chains of tradition." Obinna held her close, his heart shattered. "I would rather have had this short time with you than a lifetime without you," he said. With those words, Nneka took her final breath, and Obinna wept over her lifeless body. When news of Nneka's death reached the village, Chief Ojukwu was consumed with guilt. He had cursed his own daughter, blinded by greed. The village mourned her, for they had lost not only a beauty but a kind soul. In the years that followed, Obinna never remarried. He lived alone, tending to the land that had once brought him joy, forever haunted by the memory of Nneka and the cause that had claimed her. And so, the tale of Nneka and Obinna became a warning to the villagers. Love, though powerful, cannot always defy the will of the gods or the weight of tradition.